This video is going to show you some of the key features of using the Label Designer screen. In this case, I'm going to start with a template called generic.lbx. I'm going to make a copy of this template by hitting the copy button, and I'm just going to name this template demo, and this way I'm not altering my generic template. I want to keep that as it is. I want to mess with this new template called demo. So I've selected the demo.lbx. I'm going to click on the edit template button. I'll maximize this Label Designer screen so I have more room to work with. And now I'm inside the Label Designer. Here I can move the address block around if I want by clicking my mouse down in the white area of the grid. And as I click my mouse down and hold my mouse button down and drag, as you can see, it's creating a marquee. In order to select all of my address lines, I want to make sure that marquee intersects all the lines that I want to select. So I'm just going to drag it up, release my mouse, and as you can see, there's little handles around each of these boxes. Now with all these handles around these boxes, I can click my mouse down somewhere within those boxes and drag, and now I can move my address block around. And I'll release my mouse. If I want to select any line in particular from these selected lines, I'll just click my mouse away from this block of lines, single click on the box I want to do something with, and then in this case I'm going to move the barcode line up a little bit. So I've got that box selected, and I'll just use the up arrow key on my keyboard to move the box up a little bit. I can also change the font of all these lines. Click my mouse down again and draw a marquee around these boxes. Again, it doesn't have to be around the entire block of boxes, and it doesn't have to be perfect. All I have to do is intersect those boxes. Now they're all selected. So from here I can pull down the Format menu and go to Font. And it's important when you get into the font window that instead of just choosing the different point size, choose a font name first. If you don't choose a font name, then the point size change that you make will not take. So I'm just going to go down here, and it doesn't really matter. I'll just choose Agency here at a size of 12. And there we go. That's how I changed my fonts. I can also add an Indicia to this template or a return address. You add those the same way by using the text tool in the toolbar. Click on the capital A, click my mouse down, and start typing out my return address. Hit enter, do a new line, and so forth. And again, with this, you can tell I still have the text cursor. I can just click my mouse away from that text, single click on that text, and again I can change the font to whatever font I want, whatever size I want. There we go. Indicia is the same way. With the Indicia, I can make it a smaller font. I can draw a box around the Indicia if I like with that box tool. I can center the text by pulling down the Format menu, going to Text Alignment, choosing Center. I can click on the box, and then as you can see, my cursor, when I'm over one of the corners of the box or the edges, changes the attribute of that cursor, so I can do a little bit of resizing, something like that. Then I can click on my text and move it around, select both items, and use some centering tools here. So it gives you an idea of how you can use this. If I want to change the text, click on the text tool, highlight the text, and make my changes to it. Pretty easy. So now I need to show you how to change the paper size and the template height. You know how to move the boxes around. Next, I'm going to pull down the File menu and go to Page Setup. I'm going to click on the Page Setup button, and now I can choose my different paper size. Click OK. I can also change Portrait to Landscape if I'd like. In this case, I'm going to actually change it to Landscape so we can see a little bit of a difference. This is an 8.5 by 5.5 paper, so I'll hit OK here. Now that I know I'm using an 8.5 by 5.5 paper, I need to scroll down to the detail bar and make my detail height 5.5 inches. Right now my detail is set at 11 inches. I'll double click on the detail bar, go in the General tab, and change the height to 5.5. If the detail height is larger than the paper height, then I'll get a detail band too large error when I try to print or preview this template. So now I've set my detail height to 5.5 inches. If I wanted to make this a 2-column label, I can scoot this address block over to the right or over to the left, scoot my Indicia over, pull down the File menu and go to Page Setup. And here's where I can make these changes. So I can change the number of columns to 2 and hit Tab. I can change the width if I'd like to 4 inches. Change the spacing in between columns. Change the left margin. And there we go. So now I've made these changes. I can also change the print order from top to bottom to left to right and so forth. Hit OK, make a few more adjustments, and there we are. If you need a page header to start your address labels a little bit lower, you can double click on page header and then change the general height of the header. You can add a picture, you can add a graphic to this template by clicking on the OLE tool. Draw your mouse where you want your graphic to go. And then at the control source, just click on the Browse button and select your image, and then your image will appear in that blocked area. Then you'll be able to resize that image and so forth. If you want to change something in your template, first I'm going to select these lines and go back to a font that's a little more readable. We'll go with Arial. If I want to change any of these lines in my template, for instance, if I want to change the company line here to an address to line, I can double click on AZ Company, and now in the expression box I can type in the name of my field that I want in this spot, in this case address 2. Click OK, and now address 2 appears in this template. Now if these boxes are a little too close together, I can select the boxes, format, vertical spacing, increase, and that'll put a little more separation in between these boxes. And so those are the basics of label design.